Welcome to another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. Teresa and I are going to share on another topic about our sensitivity. And what was on my mind, what I wanted to share about was how I hear many people talk about how, the folks around them, they just don't believe in any of this spiritual sensitivity or being psychic or being aware. And I wanted to talk a bit about that I don't have to believe that I'm psychic to be psychic, you might
Ooh,
say is
that's a good
the
topic, Tom. I
the
like that.
theme of this episode.
Very good. Well, I think this is a big one because I've met so many people in my immediate, family and friends, as well as when we've gone out and done a lot of expos and fairs where, people say things and my God, they're psychic and they're aware and they see and they feel but they would not say or tell others that they are seeing or feeling or experiencing these things.
Yeah, and that's another angle, or they'll come up with another reason, they'll go, well, I thought that out. But one of the examples I'd like to give is I'm in a country band, as you know, and the fellow that leads the band is a very sensitive person. I would say that he's high in the gift of prophecy. He just knows, he's very creative, and yet he's more religious. So he wouldn't profess that he is sensitive or he has ESP or angels or anything like that. So, but what I notice is, in fact, this just happened last night. I was playing a tune and I'm using a different instrument than I normally use. I play drums and I was using some congas actually, that I'm new to.
Congus from the Congo.
Yeah. And we were playing one of the songs that we were trying the congas out. And I was playing a beat and I was within myself. I wasn't as fully secure with what I was playing. I'm just learning how to play them. And he's very encouraging about me playing, these kinds of instruments and percussion instruments. So right as I'm thinking to myself, is this beat, effective? Is this an appropriate beat or pattern for me to play? He turns around and he says, Tom, that's really great what you're playing. Keep that up. And then he turned around again and started singing his song. And it's one of many examples I could give of working with this fellow where he's just so sensitive. And yet if you asked him, he would say he's not, that he doesn't believe in it. And I think more or less he would say that, from what I know of him. And I often notice this with my dad as well. My dad was very sensitive, probably first gift feeling, high in picking up feeling impressions, turning thoughts into feelings, and very intellectual, though, at the same time, and well educated, and had a lot of leadership qualities. And when there would be times when I'd be working with him or talking with him, and he would just know things. His sensitivity would be spot on. And yet if you asked him, he would never admit, because he's very religious, that he, was psychic. So where have I gotten to with all this? These are just a couple of examples of people that I've worked with, is that I've learned to realize I know that I know, and that I respect, even if someone says they don't, quote, believe in it, or they've got more of a religious point of view with regards to those things, then I go, I know better, and I'm going to trust their intuition as well. Like I can work with them. So, like my friend who works with his inner knowings, that prophetic part of us, I know when he says stuff, he's picking something up. There's, you might say, I always trust a good prophetic when they're relaxed and in balance. They exude that, and I've learned over the years to trust or those feelings. And often the reason I trust is because I've had the same inklings, and when they come up with it, it's like, okay, I know I'm on track. How do you relate to any of that?
Well, how I relate to that is, I mean, the key word of relax comes to mind because I too have been around a lot of people, like I started this, conversation with, who are very aware, very open, but doubt. and are very fearful. And I'll even say the word scared. A lot of people are scared of, I know someone that has dreams that come true, and that, and knowings that they know a lot of things, and it really frightens them. So for myself, and where I'm at in the journey at this moment, is I really just stay relaxed with where other people are at. And that would be a really big
Mm.
suggestion to those listening out there, because everyone's in different places. And I know for many years before I came together with Tom, and really full on took on this work, is that I would be wanting to change people. Oh my goodness, I want to change my family. I want to change my friends. I want everyone to know what I know, and I want everyone to embrace what I embrace. And that brought on a lot of I want to say that hot energetic mess within me, because it would just stirred me up, because it's not what other people are ready to embrace or understand on the level that I am. So, and that's not saying that, I'm any better than anyone else, but just I'm at a different place. And so I really just relax with where everyone's at now and just accept it. So, like with you and your friends, and, I'm being around people that are very sensitive and will just spout out things. You're like, oh my goodness, you are so sensitive. But again, like what I say to that person, wow, you're really high in prophecy. No, because they probably don't really care about hearing that. So it's just knowing for myself, and recognizing within my realm is, okay, I know how to work with that person.
Yeah, and I always find that my guidance can give me little insights as to what to say to, oh, trust that impression, or thank you, boy, you're sensitive. You picked it up right when I needed to hear that. You said the right thing to me, and that's easy for people to digest, easier, So we're here to learn and grow, and we're here to back other souls in their learning and growth. I love what you're talking about that saving, wanting everybody to know what I know, to get to, I'm so excited about it. I think it's a stage that a lot of us go through. But we had an experience a little earlier when we were doing another episode where, I picked up an impression about what you were feeling, that there was a little bit of guilt, about returning some food. We shared this in the last episode. And, you know, I realized, like, let Teresa discern that rather than me tell her what I picked up. Now, if she's paying me and we're working at it, I can give her some hints. But the key of working with people spiritually, for all you spiritual leaders out there, is help them get their own answers, because that's where the growth, the aha moments come from, the confidence, that inner confidence that they can develop. So it's always great to reinforce people's confidence and that inner insight that they get. And in fact, it's easier. I feel happier and freer knowing it's not my opportunity to clarify everything for a loved one or people that you really love and respect.
When you gravitate towards trust, life moves with more grace and ease. One way is staying in the now and mastering your inner world, those psychic perceptions that show up through feelings, knowings, hearing, and seeing. If you are ready for more clarity for your direction in life, by honoring your time and trust, check out the link in the show notes for our next Intuition Now Masterclass, where we explore your inner abilities and support you in getting your own answers and start trusting in yourself.
Yeah, so that goes back to the what we talk about a lot of times, is making this practical. So in recognizing all this unseen parts of us that we honestly should freaking know from like day dot, right? We come in, we're a sensitive soul, and the different, cycles we go through and what we would experience here, and recognizing that it's all a part of us. And so how to make it practical. And that's a lot what we share in our Intuition Now classes, is that practicality of getting your own answers, or what I recently like to put, do it yourself.
Yeah, that inner leadership, that inner security, that inner being confident. I had another experience that I could share about
Please do,
that's
Thomas.
come to me. I was thinking about before in our green room.
The living
It's
room.
not really green.
No, it's the cream room.
The cream in the cream room. The incident was where I've lost my train of thought.
Oh,
Got too social there.
it'll come back. It'll come back in the green, say the cream room again, and
Cream room.
it'll come back about being practical with your spirituality.
Yeah, to make it practical.
That's an important thing because if you understand and can relate to, your psychic perceptions and your spiritual helpers and your energy and how not to be, like we're talking about, fearful or scared or anxious about what we pick up and are involved in every day in that aspect of the unseen parts of us, and learning how to make it practical can really be a benefit to yourself and then also to the people that you radiate and echo out that energy to as you move through your days.
Yeah, and
Did you remember?
Not really, but I'll just start talking.
It'll come back.
It'll come back.
I love when that happens. Boop,
Yeah.
just kind of leaves.
So anyway, working with my guidance and making it practical so that I know when to move in and move out with people, respect the sensitivity that they have, and allow them, to grow at their own pace. There's no greater than or lesser than. There's no competition when it comes to a soul's spiritual growth. There's just souls with more experience and more awareness who've maybe practicing or tried to practice or been involved for a longer period of time. And there will always be opportunity to share with our brothers and sisters, you might say spiritually, little insights and tidbits. But the key is to help people to stand on their own 2 feet from a spiritual, perspective.
Yeah. And also the more relaxed you can stay with interacting with others that may not be on the same wavelength as you, actually the more influence and impact you can have on your energy being a good, mojo sort of energy going out into the world and going out into, where you're, say, work at or you live at. And so I know for myself, and that has helped tremendously because I move in and out with people in different times of my day and different times of the month, and recognize that, even if these people don't know anything about that part of them, it's okay because we resonate an energy. And I say we, but but also you out there, listeners, wherever you're at, you resonate a beautiful energy, no matter if they relate to you or not, but you stay relaxed with that. And then you're going to attract those that want to interact with you. And then you're also going to repel those that you probably don't need to interact with.
Well, Spirit must have wanted this message out because you've just essentially picked up and channeled what I was thinking about. And that
get out of town.
Here's my way of saying it different than Teresa's, that's a more effective way of leadership for me, is to allow people to develop their own answers. And many times, even when we're giving classes, I'm very sensitive. I've done lots of readings. I can read people's auras. I've worked on myself a lot, and I work as a consultant or counselor to people from a spiritual, perspective, working with guidance. And they can share some of the experiences they're having, and I can almost read them like a book. I go, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. I get little insights. And sometimes those insights are for me to kind of help me see something more clearly about myself. And they just provide an example of one of those learning experiences that they're going through. So I really caution people who want to give people their own answers, in that it's a trap you can fall into, and it's kind of a downward spiral. The best leaders help people flourish and rise above. And when I'm relaxed and I'm clear and not sort of trying to put my point of view across, but just sharing at the right time, at the right place with my guidance, letting that little penny drop for people, being of service that way, so they have their aha moments or they have their insights. And now you've got, and they love it. They feel secure, they feel good. And this is the challenge we have with younger people, and particularly loved ones. We want to help them get where we're at. That's a religious concept, really. That's a religious training, that people have.
Yeah, I think the thing that pops in my mind too as you're sharing this is that recognizing that, like you said, like some of the things that I pick up for other people are not for me to share. And here's a good example,
Great.
Or an interesting example. So years ago, I used to do a bunch of mediumship training and channeling and trance work and etc. for, and when I was living in Florida. And there was this medium that I was with, or he was a guy who was very trained, well trained in mediumship. And so we're, traveling along. We stop at McDonald's to get an ice cream on the way back to where we were going to. And so he goes in, we go into McDonald's, and there's a really young gentleman behind the, who's the cashier. And so we ordered our stuff. And right when he turned, this guy, my friend, says to him, "Hey, stay in school because, that's going to be helpful than this." But he blurted out, and the guy was like, what? And it was just interesting because it was kind of funny, but yet it wasn't, because it was almost like, was that really, did you need to tell that to that person? And of course, this is just an example of just blurting something out, because maybe he did need to hear that. Maybe that guy did need to hear it, but it was just it was an odd experience. And for myself, again, I kind of laughed a little bit about it at the time, but there are times to share things. And then there's times that, okay, well, that information is just for me. And so I need to check, do I share that or not? And this guy just blurted it out. So I got the impression as you're talking, and I, have that memory about that, is that he didn't have a moment. He didn't even check with anything. He just just blurted it out.
His sensitivity, yeah.
His sensitivity, yeah. So that's just one example of, many times, I'm sure myself too, I've probably said things, I'm like, oh, why did I say that? And if I would have checked in, I probably wouldn't have said that crap.
As the Earth's crust shifts and changes, our lives do the same. One way to maneuver through the small and large moments that shake us to the core is by reviving your connection to spirit, gathering ways to cleanse your energy field, embracing spiritual awarenesses to give you a bigger picture, and knowing that you are not alone on your journey can be a great support. The Soulquake Survival Guidebook is a great companion to meet you where you're at and support reviving your connection to spirit in earth-shaking times. Get your copy today through Amazon worldwide in paperback, ebook, or in audio, and begin embracing more clarity, inner peace, and enthusiasm for your life and what you've come to do.
I found, getting back to being sensitive, I found that there's been people on the phone that I was talking to, and if, I pick up certain impressions or want to make a joke, and it turns out that, like, oh my God, I'm speaking to somebody that I'm glad I didn't make that joke. It would have been inappropriate. And I wouldn't have been able to tell because I couldn't see him, but I'm so sensitive. I'm picking up on, it's like talking to somebody who's Italian and maybe making an improper joke, or, something about being Italian and talking too much, or being in the mafia, or, something like that, where I don't really mean anything by it. But, in business, it might not be the best thing to say. It might be inappropriate, So, yeah, with spirit, they will say things through other people sometimes, and
Right.
people that have maybe mastered that area. So it's always great, like when you hear something like that, like this guy blurted out, "Stay in school." What I would do if that happened to me, that kind of a situation, is I'd relax and I go, "That's interesting. That really struck me when the person said it. Is that something I need to pay attention to?" So, there's that too. This is what's great about working with guidance. I mean, we have so much backing. And, as long as we move from the pivot, or I found when I move from the pivot that I'm already perfect. Now, how I behave is not always to my best interests, or to my best advantage, or the most effective way to work with my energies so that I can stay in that mode of being happy and free and achieve what I came to achieve here and have the relationships that I want. But if I work from the perspective that as a soul, I'm already perfect, then the pressure's off. I'm not saying I'm not going to improve, or I'm just learning more about my sensitivity.
You know what I do, Tom?
What's that?
I remember that I'm damn human. That I am having a human experience. And so, and honestly, the ways that I learn and grow is by having moments where I maybe make a mistake, or I say something stupid, or, make someone pissed. And then,
Yeah,
then
it's all learning about your sensitivity.
Absolutely. And I think that's a big thing too, because a lot of people are like, oh God, if the earth was just so perfect and we all got along and love, I'm like, really? What would we be here to learn? Like, I mean, we have to have that opposing forces, and everyone's playing a part of the journey right now of, like the positive and the negative, and because that's how we learn.
Well, you might say we're all just practicing, And as soon as I say that, I relax. Okay, I'm just practicing. There will be more opportunity to go through it again. And as I refine it and as grow in my awareness, then often I'll re-experience things from a different perspective. And apparently that's, what we do. We're here to unfold that inner power, that inner wisdom. And, it's based from that love, true concern, one with all. We're all a part of a team vibration.
When you arrived back, you were enthusiastic to be here. If you've lost some of that enthusiasm, there's a way to reawaken it. It's by embracing a bigger spiritual picture of your life as a soul and igniting the feeling of freedom within. If you're ready and needing some more enthusiastic mojo for yourself, then follow the link in the show notes to access a free video series created by the Wayshowers College and get ready to start feeling more clarity, hope, and freedom within.
I like it. And I think that's a good place to end.
I do too.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed this episode, this mini morsel episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. And any last words on that, Tom?
Yeah, check out our Intuition Now courses, some of the free videos that the Wayshowers College offers, and Teresa's Soulquake Survival Guide book. It'll help you get started and give you some key techniques.
Sounds good to me. And so until next week, just remember that life is
too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey.
To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.